It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. How much you can take and keep moving forward.
You want something, go get it, period.
You gotta keep moving, let's keep moving, let's go. Don't quit until you got nothing left.
This is where we have been, this is how we got here, this is who we are.
Life moves pretty fast. You don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss it.
You're listening to the Hustle Indy Show, where we seek out some of Indy's most hustling people and places to learn about what they do, how they got started, and where they're going. Sit back and enjoy the show.
All right, well, hello everyone. Welcome back to another, I guess we can call it an episode. Another episode of the Hustle Indy Show. I am your host, Brendan Helm, joined as always by the wonderful Ian D. Felice.
It's great to be with you, Brendan.
How are you doing today?
Very excited for this new season.
This new season?
Yes,
Is this
very
season
excited.
5, 6, 7?
We'll get there. This is number 2.
Season 2 is right around the corner. We just finished up season 1, and we just thought it'd be awesome to hop on here, kind of share some of the thoughts that we had surrounding season 1, some of the ideas that we had, things that we learned, successes, failures, and then things we're looking forward to moving forward. So we thought it'd be awesome to have our first guest, Ryan Mullin, on the show with us for this episode. So Ryan, welcome back.
Welcome, Ryan.
Thank you for having me, guys.
Yes.
Can't wait to get started for
Well,
this.
yeah, it's because
Next
of you
season.
that we're here.
Yes. Oh,
Yeah.
well, it's because of you that I'm here.
Aw. Sentimental. So what are some things that you got going on right now in your life?
Oh, wow. Well, it's been a good year. Wrapping up 2020, going into 2021. It's been the craziest year, right? The political stuff is out of the way now and all that. So I'm really just looking forward to, getting back into the full swing of things real estate wise. Because it always slows down in the winter time for holidays. Not everybody's looking to move in the middle of the winter, of course. So that happens every year. And then every year, mid-January and then kind of the beginning of February, we'll really start going with, buying and selling houses.
Gotcha.
So.
During this slow season, is there stuff that you do to kind of keep yourself busy or fill your
yeah.
time? What are some of those things?
So when we get done here today recording this, I'm going to go over to Circle City Industrial Complex and help out with the metal company, Circle City Metal Works. And we just have a ton of packages that need to be boxed up. And, one of the beautiful things about being a business owner, it's got to get done one way or another. So I'm going to go in and literally just, bubble wrap and package boxes, which doesn't sound that exciting, but
It's got to get done.
It's got to get done.
Someone has to do it, yeah.
And for those of you watching that don't know Ryan, he is the founder of FS Houses along with Ashley, and they were the sponsor of the whole first season of our show. So that is why we have him back here as well, just for those that didn't end up watching the first episode, just for a little bit of a reference point there. So
yeah, go back and watch the first episode if you haven't seen it.
We've got 12 episodes that you can go back and watch if you're really feeling frisky.
And subscribe to
But
us.
how was 2020 when it comes to the real estate world? How was the real estate market affected? How did it affect FS Houses as a business and kind of real estate as a whole?
Oh, good question. It's 2020 was a very weird year for business in general, especially real estate. It wasn't the year. All the crazy things that happened didn't necessarily affect real estate in a bad way. There was a inventory shortage, so demand was the same as it's always been, if not maybe even higher, because interest rates are so low. So a lot of people are trying to get into a new house for whatever reason, buying your first house, downsizing, lots of different reasons why people move. But there's not very many houses on the market, and the ones that are on the market, if they're priced right and they're in good shape, they're flying off the shelf. So the price of real estate has increased significantly.
Yeah, I think from like an outsider's perspective, you would kind of think the opposite. You hear about all these terrible stories about people losing their jobs, we're in an economic downturn, and yet somehow real estate is still taking off. How does that happen, you think?
Well, I think there's some complicated forces kind of behind the scenes at work. One of which would be, again, like I said, interest rates are super low, because the Federal Reserve kind of has to get the economy going. So that's kind of a method they do is keep interest rates low, which does help to sell houses. It moves a lot of houses. But when you do that, you increase the money supply. Sure. And when you increase the money supply, the value of the dollar goes down. So just because real estate prices are up, it's not necessarily a great thing considering the value of the dollar is falling.
Gotcha.
All right, so taking a little bit of a turn from real estate now, all the other
certainly.
stuff that's been happening the last, 3-4 months or so with the podcast, marketing, all of this stuff that's happening. From your perspective, I'm interested to see what has it been like from your perspective to see all of this happening? Oh,
it's been super cool. Again, it's been a strange year, but it's also been kind of a year of opportunity with, a lot of different, just random things happening and changing. It's been really fun to see, like even, for example, just the drone stuff. We invested in a drone, what was that, 4 or 5 months ago?
Yeah.
And we've had some amazing results with the drone stuff that you guys are doing. And the editing of the movies, just the smaller content that's coming out, just short little clips here and there, and even down to like the flyers outside of our window, just lots of really cool stuff. Have you guys brought up on the podcast the Nexus?
No,
we have not actually. Yeah,
we've actually told some of the guests about it.
So it's crazy, but this stuff excites me. This little chip here, it's got an FS logo on it for our real estate company, and it's a microchip, right? And so if somebody else puts their phone up against here and just kind of holds it there, and automatically a link will pop up with all of my contact information, whether it be real estate, my artwork, or whatever.
Replacing the business card.
No more business cards, and it's just been really cool for even. Like when I have my art shows and a conversation gets started, maybe somebody wants to buy a painting and a house.
That's really cool.
So, it's just one more super cool marketing thing that we've kind of implemented. There's been a lot though. That's just one small aspect.
And when it comes to marketing, so what is your goal? What would be your goal for like the marketing aspect of the business moving into next year?
Just to build the following really across the board. I try to focus on that, building up the funnel, right? They say there's like a funnel for sales or whatever you're doing. So, to me, just kind of building the following is getting the biggest possible funnel, and we've got salespeople, real estate wise, and that can kind of once people get into the funnel, we have agents that can handle the buying and selling of houses and help in the transactional standpoint.
And we've actually talked too, I think one of the main goals too for, I guess, us two specifically along with you is kind of providing marketing services for people.
Exactly.
What about that kind of stuff?
Definitely. Well, I think the podcast, what we're doing here,
it builds into it.
It all builds into it because we're creating content, we're putting it out there, and we're showing off, that we kind of have the tools and the resources and the ability to do whatever it may be, video. It could be as simple as like headshots, business cards, flyers, anything in that regard. We're able to do, and so now we're offering that, and some of that stuff is trickling in, which is exciting because it's just we're already doing that for our other businesses, so we might as well do it for
and it's twofold too because I guess in times like this. Smaller local businesses that maybe don't have the skill set, the tools, or the money to be able to invest in a large marketing platform. And it's really cool for us to be able to do that and provide that service for people at a much lower rate than what a huge marketing firm might be offering.
Certainly. And we can do that because we're subsidized by our real estate company and everything else we're doing. So, we've already invested in the equipment and the overhead, and we don't have to pay rent in the office that we're already in, stuff like that. So I think we can, kind of provide those services a little bit cheaper than a big box company.
Yeah, and so a lot of these marketing opportunities, stuff like that we're tackling have presented, and I think it was really cool to have. We had an investor of the real estate company step in and talk about potentially using the equipment in the studio to record his own podcast.
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
Stuff like that we never expected to happen.
Right.
It's just really cool to see that stuff kind of coming together and just new opportunities and new people, and it's been really cool.
I think my favorite part for me when it comes to the marketing thing is like kind of like you hit on earlier, is being able to actually produce something that's useful for other people or for other companies. The first gig that we did with the TKW video, it was something that was just like super simple and yet was really appreciated by everyone. And I think it ended up helping everybody just a little bit by bringing attention to those things. And it's a little skill set that you don't think about, but is very important, and people can really, really use it to their advantage. It's a win-win all around, and being able to kind of step into that field and going to this next year, especially really starting to build that's gonna be pretty exciting.
Well, especially with the times we're in right now.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff has been forced into the digital platform,
Yep.
for better or for worse, but it's the space we're in right now. And if your business, unfortunately, isn't really well known or really well crafted on the digital platform, I mean, capitalism takes its reign on you.
Yeah. The social media, the website design, that's one of those things not everybody knows how to do. It's vitally important for every single business.
Well, and it's like you mentioned, our real estate investor, he came in, he happens to be an attorney. He spends his time like representing clients. He doesn't want to mess around with producing content and posting to Instagram and posting a blog post and then having it go to LinkedIn and all that fun stuff. Like, he doesn't want to worry about that. He just wants to worry about his clients. So there's absolutely an opportunity for us to come in, do the creative stuff, which we like doing anyways. I think we're having a blast with it. So it's awesome to be able to provide that service for these small businesses and do it all locally, because I think that's the goal first, is to take over Indy, and then go from there and see where we can wind up.
So what was your favorite episode or favorite part or learning experience of the podcast that we've had so far?
Start with the favorite episode. Favorite episode. Which one is your favorite?
I don't know if I've had.
You can't pick your own.
The first episode was my favorite because that was me. I've had some good friends come on, so I don't pick favorites. And the first couple were the most exciting just because they happened first. But I don't think. Well, I'll pick somebody that I'm not good friends that I didn't know. Casey, the guy that owns Peak Performance, or is buying into Peak Performance, and runs his training business. That was a really good episode. He just had really good energy and was, well, you weren't even on it.
He was gone.
Maybe that's why it was the best. No, I'm kidding.
I knew it.
Just in terms of the guest, he just was super excited and had a lot of positive things to say. I really liked his outlook on thinking things in the long term, because that's kind of how I am. I don't expect immediate results out of anything. It's more, what's this gonna turn into 2, 3, 10 years down the line? So that was a really good episode. I enjoyed that one a whole lot. They've all been super good, though. All the guests have been amazing. They're all doing different things. It's not like we've had 5 people that are all doing the same similar stuff. And it could have turned into that with the real estate. I know there's a ton of real estate entrepreneurs that we know, and we kind of wanted to do something different.
Branch out of that.
It was really cool from our perspective too, because we didn't have to force like an agenda on someone. Like we didn't have a guest come onto the podcast and say, "Hey, we want to talk about this." So you've got to kind of fit your schedule to that. It was just, tell us your story. And that's what's so cool about it, is that every person's story is different. Everyone has a unique path that they took to get to where they are, whether they're a millionaire or they make $20,000 a year. They've got that same mentality. They've got an amazing story that's awesome to hear from.
For sure. And that was when we sat down to, brainstorm about ideas for the show. We never said this is going to be a show about money, or just because you hustle doesn't mean that you are even an entrepreneur or a business owner. That doesn't matter. It's just people that do stuff is kind of the people that we're after, people doing interesting things.
Yeah.
You know? So,
And coming from a hosting perspective, I never doing a podcast before. I actually expected it to be a little bit more difficult, but it really is just an open conversation with someone. The way we do it, when it makes it so much easier, because we've had some people come on and it's a very like, this is what happened when I was born, all the way up until here, and it was very just like structured like that. And then we've had other episodes where people really just wanted to talk about like the meaning of things behind what happened.
Yeah.
And so it's such an interesting take between things, and every single person has always had excellent advice when we talk to them, when we ask them at the end, like, so what advice do you have? And it's always somewhat a little bit different and kind of the same. It's always like, work hard, just start doing it.
Yeah.
That's like the number one thing, is just start doing it. But you also hear some different things here and there, and it's been, I love that, because you learn so much just by listening to people. And I feel like that's why podcasts in general are so popular.
For sure.
Because we don't have those type of conversations normally anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is kind of interesting. Like, you don't have that type of open forum conversation with people anymore.
Yeah, even someone you may have known for 20 years.
Yeah.
Someone you may have been working with for 20 years.
Yeah.
You may have never been able to have the conversation about, hey, this guy was in the U.S. Air Force.
Right.
He was a firefighter in the U.S. Air Force.
Yep.
He did this, bought the company with this guy, did this, had his family. Like, those are the conversations you don't typically have with someone, like you said. And even if you've known the person your whole life, you get to hear a
Definitely.
perspective that they don't get the opportunity to share every day.
We've had multiple guests that I've been friends with for over a decade.
Yeah.
And I knew very little about
Yeah.
their actual story.
Yeah.
So that's really cool to learn, you know, kind of the behind the scenes stuff that they chose to talk about and bring up, describing their path to where they are.
Yeah.
Would there be any specific guests that you would really want to see on this next season, or do we not want to reveal anything?
Let's just dream. Dreams here.
Dreams here.
We've talked about getting a former Pacer player.
Okay.
We're gonna shoot hard for that. It might not happen, you know.
Anything could happen.
We'll see.
Yeah.
We won't say who, just in case it never happens.
Undersell, overperform.
Exactly.
There's quite a few small businesses in town that I've always admired. That I have no clue who owns it or what, but I'd like to do some investigating and find out.
Yeah, that'd be really cool.
Especially some of like the I guess smaller boutique type of businesses that are local to downtown specifically, because that's just what I'm interested in.
Sure.
Who else? I don't know.
I think
the sky's the limit.
I
right?
agree. Like, I think reaching out to those people, and like once this continues to grow. And speaking of growth, actually, what was like our average monthly reach this past
On
season?
Facebook alone, we were averaging 10 to 12,000.
Wow, per month?
A month. Well, 28-day reach, but yeah,
Yeah.
a month, which is
That's extraordinary.
insane.
That's extraordinary.
Yeah, Facebook's definitely been our best platform, if I understand it correctly.
Yeah.
There we go.
There we go. Cool.
Yeah, we got new technology in here for those of you, and this is a very raw, cut and dry, just conversation, laid back podcast episode.
I like this though. That's a good
Speaking of new technology, what's some of the stuff that we've been doing around
yeah,
there?
so you guys can't see it. Behind we have these new little soundboard panels. Ryan's new artwork, which you can kind of see in that camera angle. We got a great new bookshelf. The lights, all these things, what makes it look a little bit more clean.
A lot of this stuff is the stuff that you guys don't see on camera, like these sound panels, the lights, just cleaning the space up, a rug underneath us, stuff like that kind of takes things from good to great, were some of the things that we kind of did.
Yeah. And we're getting there. There's still some other things we need to do. Like,
I thought the first season looked and sounded amazing, so I can't wait to
always getting better, Ryan.
have these
Always
come
getting
out.
better.
Yeah.
Good to great.
Speaking of good to great, actually, something I did want to ask you is, so you run the real estate thing, but you also do the metalworks, like you had mentioned, and your artwork, like we just now mentioned. How do you see yourself growing into 2021, like at you as a person? Because I was kind of curious, because as my boss, I guess, as we just report to you, sometimes we don't get to hear what you yourself are doing. Like, what are your personal goals going into next year?
Good question. So one of my, first of all, I need to figure out how to make my schedule the most efficient that I can.
Yeah.
because it's like real estate comes first. So I come into the office and handle whatever needs to be done real estate wise. Go over to the metal company and help out there. And then in the evenings, I try to push my artwork.
Yeah.
One thing. So back to the actual goal of it all is my goal for 2021. I want to get the most possible Bitcoin that I can.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So tell them. So actually, I'll tell this little story. So about a couple months ago, I see on Facebook a post about Ryan saying something about Bitcoin, and I didn't know Ryan was an investor of any sort. Like when it came to that, I was like, "Oh, that's interesting." And a couple months later, it's at like 17,000, and I'm like, "Hey, Ryan, I remember this post you posted a while ago," and yeah, so that was quite an increase. Do you actually see that still going up?
Yeah. So remember earlier I was talking about how the value of the dollar is dropping, which is to me is fairly concerning. However, I do believe that Bitcoin will be the answer to that problem. And you can see like a lot of these institutional big money people are starting to not only consider Bitcoin, but they're pulling the trigger on it. Because people are worried about there's a segment of people that invest in gold because gold doesn't really lose value.
Right.
Well, you can't. It's hard to put a bar of gold in your pocket, carry it around. It's hard to buy a sandwich with a bar of gold.
Yeah.
But with Bitcoin now, very recently, for example, late October, PayPal just announced that they're going to be doing Bitcoin.
Right.
Really?
Yeah. I've been buying Bitcoin on Cash App for a couple years now.
Okay.
And it's I can literally take out my Cash App debit card, spend money, and then transfer Bitcoin over to the to fiat currency.
Yeah.
I'm really excited about that. I'm an economics guy. It's kind of nerdy, but like I think it's going to be huge. I think it's going to be bigger than people think.
Really? Like you think it'll be the new currency of the world in a way?
I think in 5 years people will measure people will measure the value of different commodities based on that
and
rather than
US
using
dollar.
the US dollar.
Interesting. Wow. Do you think they'll make it more, instead of one Bitcoin being now 19,000 at the time of this recording?
Yeah, at the time of this recording. Who knows from now?
Well, I didn't realize it was already that high. My gosh.
I mean, past 3 months, it's plus 8,500 already.
Wow. Do you think they're going to break it down into like smaller portions?
I don't think they need to, because you can buy 1/100th of a Bitcoin.
Wow, okay.
You can buy very small fractions of Bitcoins. So
he's like, how much money do I have? Interesting. Okay.
$1,000.
It's all very fascinating. I'd be lying if I said that I was some kind of expert or that I knew a lot about the subject.
Yeah.
But I am trying to learn everything that I can. In terms of like, you put it in a wallet and you keep it there, and obviously you don't want to have other people have access to your to like the code that you get or whatever, because they can just take it. But it's fascinating to me. I think it's really interesting, but that's to answer your question.
Yeah.
Like I'm not gonna like take all of my savings and put it into Bitcoin. But if I sell a painting for $300 or $400, I just take that and put it into Bitcoin and use that as kind of my savings account.
Gotcha.
Interesting.
Cool. So speaking of the art, I've noticed recently in the past 2 months, you've really started putting more focus on that. Is that going to continue next year? And
I hope so.
Because that's been growing by the looks of it. I've seen a lot more interactions on your social media posts. You actually look like you're selling it now by quite a bit more than you used to be.
Yeah, I was just telling him. I just saw that post on Facebook or Instagram or Facebook that you posted. Instagram. About your studio where you were showing you were just wiping the dust off and stuff. I didn't realize how big your studio was. It was super cool.
Yeah, thank you. It's definitely having a real estate background definitely helps with having the space to actually make these paintings and splash paint around and have fun. I hope to keep growing. I hope to growing the following. I want to just keep that up and engaging people. Hearing their feedback, what people like, I love that, and making my work kind of, so that the following can enjoy it, buy it, whatever. or just watch me on Instagram. Or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah. How do you change your style? Because I feel like you have changed your style a little bit even since I've known you. A big part of that was a machine you built this past year.
Yeah.
So tell us about that.
I don't even know about
Yeah.
this.
So tell us about this machine.
It's a spin. It's a essentially what it is it's a machine that I built. It's a fan motor, and it runs a little conveyor belt that spins a gear.
Like in a circle?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it spins the painting, and there's a lot that you can do with it. But essentially, you put paint on a canvas, and you spin the painting really fast, and you use centripetal force. It's kind of hard to say. Centripetal force to spread the paint, or you can splash paint on there and have it create like a motion effect that makes the paint land on the canvas weird different ways.
Yeah.
Really fun to mess with.
Did you use it for that painting?
Yes, yeah, actually.
That's awesome.
Okay, yeah, that's a really good example of. You can see how everything's based on a circle, and it kind of spreads out from the middle.
Mm-hmm. Do you feel like that has gained a lot more popularity recently? Like, do you feel like that has kind of upped the level of artwork that you've done?
I don't know. It's not like I'm the first to do it or anything. There's definitely other people out there doing it. It's hard to say. I'm having a lot of fun with it. That's all that really matters.
That's true. That's true.
I think that people do enjoy seeing different stuff because I'm the type of artist I can't really focus on one thing for too long. I have to do something new and move on.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to be making spinny circle paintings forever, but for now I'm having fun with it. And until I get bored with it, we'll roll with it. So
for anybody interested, let's say you make a painting roughly the size of this screen for those that are watching.
32-inch monitor.
32-inch monitor. What price roughly if someone's interested in purchasing one of your paintings?
So I try to price my paintings very affordably.
Okay.
Something that size I would probably sell for under $100.
Okay.
If I have to package it up and ship it out, it takes so much time and energy to do that I have to charge a little bit more. But if somebody's going to come pick it up, $75.
Gotcha. And where do people find this on your social medias?
The Ghost Yard.
Okay.
My Instagram is ryan.ghostyard. If you Google Ghost Yard, all of my stuff's gonna pop up.
Perfect.
How much do you crank out like a month?
I try to finish a painting a day.
Oh wow!
I put
That's
out
a lot. I did not expect it to be that much.
Yeah, I put out quite a few paintings. Some of them are like not very good and don't go anywhere. Some of them sit on the shelf for a while, and then I'm like, I don't like it, and then I paint over it.
Okay.
But I try to produce one every day.
Cool.
I wasn't expecting that. I was expecting like 5 a month, 10 a month. That's crazy.
Yeah, that is a lot.
And a lot of them are little tiny ones and stuff that I've got paintings that I sell for $35. So.
Gotcha. Cool. Going into season 2 for the podcast, so switching from art now back to the podcast. For those that are trying to keep track of this conversation, we talk about, all three of us, off air quite a bit. Brendan and I talk about it. We each kind of have our own ideas. We've kind of come to a conclusion, but ideally, what content-wise would you like to change? What visually would you like to change? And what are you expecting to change moving into season 2? Whether it comes to, topics that we talk about with the guest, do you like what we're doing? Just kind of review from the top down here.
I like everything about it.
Yeah.
I think that, just more, like there could be more, obviously an episode comes out every week, but maybe in the middle of the week there's some, little updates and follow-ups with, like old guests that are doing something new now. So we could highlight that.
Yeah.
And just kind of have more content.
Yeah.
More
content.
Yeah. We've talked about they would hopefully know. Yeah, they know by now about the Monday show.
Yeah.
Hopefully getting that going, which will be really cool. That's more content, just more conversation stuff.
Yeah, and for those of you that haven't heard, we are going to do a Monday morning show. Name pending, could be totally something different, probably will be, but a Monday morning live stream where Brendan and I come in and kind of have a conversation similar to this. No real structure. How was your weekend? What's going on in Indianapolis?
Maybe talk about the last episode.
Yeah.
Talk about what's coming up. Just really laid back conversation. What's going on in Indy.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be a great way for us to interact with the listener.
Yeah.
In a live forum, just because.
Like actually live,
yes,
yes,
it'll be
like
a live
actually
stream.
live, where they can post comments, we can reply to them, answer questions,
Yeah.
stuff like that. It'll just be really
That's
cool.
cool. That's awesome.
Because we'd want to, and you're always welcome to come on during those as well. Because it's gonna.
I'm gonna be like at my computer commenting.
Just throwing curveball questions at us.
Yeah.
No, yeah. So I just think it's a really cool way to interact with people because. And the more people that we talk to, the more we're going to continue to learn about what they like, what they're interested in, and things like that.
And then speaking of more content, so we've talked about, I don't remember if we've talked about it in this episode, but we will be getting sponsors for next year.
Yeah.
Or next season.
Let's go over the sponsorships.
Yeah. So sponsorships, we'll be pitching the idea. We can talk about it more in depth later on. But given that we're going to be allowing sponsorships, we wanted to add more value to being a sponsor. And more content just adds more value. So you'll have the ability to sponsor an episode of the Monday morning show, the live stream, sponsor the podcast, sponsor a week's worth of content. So we've really tried to add value to what it is that we're doing here so that we can highlight in a much more professional way whoever wants to sponsor or get their name out there.
Yeah. And, since we've been consistently reaching as many people as we have been, 10,000 plus every month as of now, it'll not only bring value to, I think, the podcast itself, seeing other, when people listening or watching hear that an outside company or a local company is sponsoring it, they're like, okay, this is legit.
Yeah.
And it also helps the company. They're like, if a company is willing to sponsor themselves and we talk about it, and the thing is, with the companies that we're going to be sponsoring, we're going to be able to highlight the fact that they're a local Indianapolis company, like what they do. And I think that's such a value to both sides of the table.
Right.
Being able to just bring a visual, or whether it's just a 30-second script on the Monday morning show, even just getting local companies' names out there, especially with all this going on, is kind of invaluable. Just because, small businesses, restaurants, things like that really have been really hurt by what's been going on. And being able to give another outlet to just share with another local company like us is gonna be great
for sure. I like online. You can tell that one of the themes of 2020 was like buy local, shop local, support small business, which obviously is part of our kind of mantra as well. But going into 2021, we need to keep that up.
Yeah.
And like when we do get sponsors for the show, literally refer people to them, send people to them, use, go out to eat at their restaurant or whatever it may be, and just kind of not only will that company benefit from like brand awareness and stuff like that, but we're also literally going to be sending people their way, and following up with them every so often to say, hey, go get coffee here, or do your dry cleaning at XYZ, or what have you.
It's more like it's as we're working through this now, it sounds more like a partnership than a sponsorship.
Yeah, totally.
It just gives us the opportunity to officially become like a partner and to push the 10,000 people we're reaching a month to this coffee shop, like you said, or this dry cleaner. So it's really cool to see that happening and that community being grown through this platform.
Yeah, and I think you're seeing that more and more with everything that's going on. You're seeing small businesses team up, that you probably wouldn't have expected to happen before, just because they have to find some sort of growth through all this and some sort of, monetary gain. Like even we did middle of the summer, we did a sponsorship. FS Houses did a partnership with the Bova Conti coffee shop that we're drinking today, and we went back there this morning. We got some coffee because it's a great coffee shop, So we try to do that, and I think continuing to do that and keeping it simple with the packages we have, pretty straightforward too. So it's not like people are like, what are we spending money on? That's gonna be pretty simple, pretty great,
and not only what are we spending money on, but like what is this money gonna get me? Like what is this going to do for my business? Like,
which is always the question in marketing.
Exactly, yeah. So like if you want to spend $500 on marketing, you want to know, okay, what's the return on that? Where am I seeing that $500 come back to me? And like you said, we just build that community. It's building that partnership, showing those 10,000 people a month who you are.
One of my favorite aspects of like the packages that we've been talking about is us, you guys doing the building the YouTube style commercial, like the one for TKW.
Yeah.
And that is a huge value.
Oh yeah.
Because those companies can use those commercials forever.
Mm-hmm.
And like that could be the front of their website. I mean, I would put that right in the forefront. So.
Yeah, and those, I mean, we were talking about that. That kind of like professional commercial quality video is not cheap.
No.
Yeah.
So to be able to partner that with a sponsorship on the podcast and be able to have a very nice, well-crafted commercial for your company is well worth the money.
Yeah.
There's a lot of effort that went into, there is a lot of effort that goes into all of those. Even getting the drone going, I'll never forget when somebody called our office from the FAA,
yeah,
and asking if we had a license to
tried to
fly
catch
the
me.
drone.
They tried to catch me.
Luckily, we're licensed, and we jumped through those hoops. But it's just like doing real estate. You have to have a license, and when you fly a drone, you have to have a license.
Yeah, good thing we did. Literally, it was the first major production that we had done with the drone, and it was like the day after I'd gotten my license, we get a call. Someone's complaining about us flying a drone, and they weren't even complaining about us. They just saw the commercial and they realized that we were flying a drone. So who knows? But we made it through that trial.
That was a fun call to get. Somebody at the office is like, Ryan, the feds are on the phone.
Dang it, they're on to us. They're on to us. No, it's been good, and I think, there's so much creative possibility with even just two guys. What we can do for another company and the companies that we already work for is pretty cool.
And the fact that we're not just a marketing company that's like a huge commercial marketing company that you go and hire, say, I want this, this, and this, get it done.
Yeah.
We're two guys living in Indy. We have a podcast highlighting Indianapolis. Like, it's kind of a buy locals for locals deal here.
Yeah.
Like, we want to get to know you. We want to provide for you. We want to give you what you need. Not just give us your money and we'll give you this.
Yeah.
And you know what we'll never do is, do you guys ever get like a text message or an email from some random like web development company that's
emails all the time.
It'll be like, your website is no good. You should hire us. It's like, come on now. If you're so good at marketing, why are you hitting me up? You should already have enough business.
Right. That's a good point.
But the spammy marketing companies, like that's and they're probably not even in the same country as us. We're not that. We're gonna be the opposite of that. Local and in real life. So
and we kind of came up with this idea. It was months ago when we were talking about like just marketing for FS houses and just the simple things of like making sure that the pictures of the properties themselves are really good.
Yeah.
And Ryan and I, we were looking at websites of like other real estate companies and how like sometimes the photos of these $1 million homes are taken from an iPhone and the lighting's really poor. The staging wasn't set up. The photo doesn't show any part of the room. Just like little things like that when you're trying to sell such a big product, how, spending X amount of dollars, 500, whatever it is, on professional photos and professional video can really change the game because again, good to great from the very beginning, talking about the podcast. It's the same thing for a real estate company trying to sell a house or any business, whatever product it is. You go on their website and it looks like it was made in 2004 versus, a professional video with nice photos, nice and clean, simplified. I don't know.
And especially now when everyone is glued to this or
phones,
this, the stuff that people see on those is so important.
Yeah.
And if you're going to go, if you're going to take your phone to $1 million house and just take crappy, not level, terrible light pictures of a house, you're going to see that. Like you are going to see the return on that.
The client is on some of these houses. The client is paying like a $6,000 to $16,000 commission, and the agent didn't take the time to even get real photos from a camera. Like there's a definite market. There's demand for what we're doing for sure, and and we'll work for other real estate companies. If you're out there listening and you're if you are a real estate agent and don't have the time or the energy or the camera to do the photos, then hit us up. We'll take photos.
I definitely think people are going to start to feel the weight of the importance of having solid, well-crafted content.
Yep.
Details.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. It's just the confidence in even going into, like, when my roommates and I were looking for a place to rent, for example, you're looking through all these houses on Zillow, and you finally, once you find the house, you're like, the difference between a professional grade photo and not is just mind blowing. You're like, let me click on this one.
Yeah.
Your eyes immediately drawn to it. You're going to click it first, even if you don't like the house as much. Just okay, this is well taken care of.
In the back of your head, this property owner cares.
Yep.
About
and it's amazing how something so simple as that really makes that big of a difference. So
absolutely. And it applies to everything, not just real estate.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Podcast, for example.
Yeah, absolutely. So, kind of wrapping it up here, Ryan, again, thank you so much for coming on.
Anytime.
Spending your time. But what advice would you give to us two and just kind of everybody with New Year right around the corner? I guess it's here now when this is aired. But what advice would you give for 2021 and just kind of moving forward?
2021, for advice to give to people, I touched on it earlier. Maybe I talked about it too long. It sounds corny, but I really want to encourage people to learn about cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, and just digital assets in general, and start thinking outside of the U.S. dollar a little bit, just because I do worry about the inflation that's going to happen.
Interesting. Cool.
Very interesting. Well, Ryan, thank you so much for being on here.
Thank
Always
you
a
guys
pleasure
for
to have
having
you.
me.
You've got now 2 amazing episodes on the Hustle Indy show. So people get to see your lovely face. It's awesome.
No, it's been really good.
Yeah. So thank you all for tuning into this special kind of episode, kind of in between seasons content that we're producing for you guys. We hope you all enjoyed the conversation. We look so forward to season 2. We've got a lot of stuff in store. As you can already kind of tell, we've got the studio a little polished, a little cleaner. We're just continuing to try and grow and take things from good to great. And so with that, we will say thank you. We will say goodbye. And we cannot wait to see you all on season 1, episode 1 of season 2. Same thing. Hey, we're honest. We're transparent.
They understand.
Well, we'll see you all in the next episode. Thanks for tuning in. Adios.